me like code.
Can you
That way
repeat
I
that?
can share that.
Can you repeat that, please?
I was just asking if you could give me, oh, there we go. I got it.
Uh,
The co-host, just so I could share my training presentation with you guys. Perfect. So is this everybody? Are we ready to get going?
um, let's give it 2 more minutes. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So everybody from here is from Maryland, right? Perfect. I just moved out here, so I'm like new to the area. I was like, when they told me I could do this training, I was like, yes, please, because I might be able to help you guys in person a little bit too. So
Which part of Maryland are you located in?
we just moved, me and my boyfriend just moved to Frederick.
Frederick. That's
Yep.
I actually have
Yep.
someone on my team. I don't know if you've talked to Crystal.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but she's from Frederick too.
Yeah, that's cool. My boyfriend is playing for the semi-pro team that just moved out here to Frederick. So that's why we're here.
I think we can get started, and some
Okay.
people might be joining in.
No problem. Okay, so I just want to welcome you guys to the NBA Math Hoops training camp today. So I am Coach Lauren. I'm part of the program training and support team here with Learn Fresh. So my duties with this is to get you guys trained for your classroom or program and then support you in any way I can throughout your season. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. And then also, again, having the opportunity to be a little bit more hands-on since I am local in Maryland. So next, I just want to introduce you to the company itself. So LearnFresh is a nonprofit organization that promotes STEM and SEL skills through the game of basketball. We are geared towards 4th through 8th grade, but we do have some flexibilities and adaptations available if you have some of those younger kiddos or some of those high school students. A couple of numbers to give you guys. So we are partnered with 27 WNBA and NBA teams.
Hello, this is Ayman. Hey, Ayman, this is Christian over at Office Hub. I was just following
I
up on your
am
inquiry for some office in Dallas. Yeah, thanks for calling. I'm still looking.
Okay. So having 27 NBA and WNBA team partners is something that I think is awesome because I'm basketball junkie, basketball coach, played basketball. So seeing this and knowing it was in the works when I was in high school definitely would have been awesome to have, but now we get to share it with you guys to give it to your students. And then 93% of educators reported improved student teamwork. So teamwork's important from adolescence through adulthood. So being able to learn that trait through our NBA Math Hoops game is just an added bonus. And then 850,000 students plus are served all the time, and this is globally. So we are global with NBA Math Hoops, so that's super awesome as well. Our learning objectives for today is that academic achievement, social and emotional growth, and then increased engagement in STEM. So before we get going with everything about the program and the ins and outs of the curriculum, I do like to show this season overview video. It gives you guys a good glimpse of what you can look forward to in some of the events that you can participate in.
NBA Masters leverages the game of basketball and NBA and WNBA players and staffs to engage elementary and middle school students in math and social emotional learning. LearnFresh is excited to offer a suite of NBA Math Hoops experiences for the upcoming season that allow students and educators to access the benefits of math hoops across a variety of learning spaces. The NBA Math Hoops physical board game is designed for classroom, out-of-school time programs, and at-home usage. Through the board game, students draft a team of NBA and WNBA players and complete math problems using real player statistics to shoot, foul, steal, and score points, all while building fluency with core math operations and key social emotional skills. The game is supplemented by a math and SEL curriculum that builds a basketball season for any classroom or out-of-school time space. The NBA Math Hoops digital game is designed for facilitated and independent usage by students in any learning environment with a device and internet access. The digital game replicates the mechanics of the physical board game experience in an engaging virtual environment featuring real-time NBA and WNBA player stats. The more students play the game, the more players they unlock, adding additional strategy to the team management concept. The digital game is available globally as a downloadable app for Android and iOS, and as a web-based experience for educators and students in the Math Hoops program. In addition to the core program, students can also access the NBA Math Hoops Skills and Drills mobile app for supplemental learning. The Skills and Drills app focuses on additional practice with core math skills and fun mini games like a 3-point contest and locker room challenge. The more students engage in the app, the more rewards they will unlock. NBA Math Hoops program sites and students are eligible to participate in community-based STEM activations, including regional tournaments and the NBA Math Hoops Global Championship, which takes place each year in New York City alongside the NBA Draft. The NBA Math Hoops Global Championship is the flagship event of the NBA Math Hoops program, bringing together select students from across the U.S. and beyond for 3 days of competition, learning, and fun. This year, educators can choose to implement NBA Math Hoops in facilitated or independent learning environments, while catering to different learning styles. For more information about bringing the NBA Math Hoops experience to your community, please visit our website at www.nbamathhoops.com.
Perfect. Okay. Just to remind you of those 3 pillars that we were discussing in that video. So we do have our board game and curriculum. That's what we will be training on today and focusing on to implement into your classroom or program space. The program events is our second pillar. You saw a glimpse of that in that video, but definitely something to look forward to in your area, and maybe we can do something with you guys in the Maryland area. And then our third pillar are the digital games and mobile apps. So we have our NBA Math Hoops digital game on the left. This mimics the board game completely. The only difference is the digital game does have all NBA and WNBA players, and our board game only has 64. So that's the only big difference. And then the one on the right is the Skills and Drills app. This is just independent practice for your students on their own time. Giving you our season at a glance. So with this training, you are entering preseason. You can have your students sign their contracts and draft their players, which we will go over here shortly. And once you do that, you can move straight into season tip-off, where you practice and gameplay through our 10-lesson curriculum all the way up until March or April, where our regional tournament starts, and then our global championship, which is alongside the NBA draft in June. We do have a summer edition of NBA Math Hoops as well if you are a summer program or summer school. Next, we're going to get our LFCA accounts created. So this is your educator portal. So this is the LearnFresh Coaches Association account. So this is where you can find program materials, all the tutorials from today, all the curriculum for today. You can submit a support ticket that goes straight to myself for any problems you're having. You can keep track of student usage. Literally everything that you're going to need is on this account. And also, this is how you receive board games. So once you create this account, you automatically get 6 board games and 3 player card sets, enough for 24 students. If any of you guys are returning educators to NBA Math Hoops and you already have an LFCA account, you can continue using that one, and you can just submit a support ticket letting us know how many more games you need. But for now, we are going to get this account created, and I'm going to drop the link in the chat box just in case you guys can make it. If you for some reason cannot make it right now, I will be sharing the follow-up information with you guys, so you'll get all of this information again. But if you can, I do definitely suggest making this account right now. As I said, you will receive your games this way and it will get you your games sooner. So mylfca.com, and then that access code I dropped gets you guys NBA Math Hoops for free. Okay, as you can see on the screen, it is a $250 value, but that is completely free to you guys today. So we want to make sure we get that promo code in this access code box. The video is going to say 2021, but you guys, today is NBA 2024. If for some reason any credit card information pops up, please do not enter that, and please just drop it in the chat box and I can troubleshoot on my end.
Hi, welcome to the Learn Fresh Coaches Association. To create an educator account, visit mylfca.com and select register in the top right-hand corner. You'll be asked to input basic information, including your first and last name, an email address, and a phone number. You'll also be asked to share an estimated number of participating students, which is just the total number of students who could participate in the program at your site over the course of the school year. We'll also ask you to input your school or program name, as well as an address at which you'd like to receive program materials. Please make sure that it is an eligible shipping address. Finally, you can skip this question because most educators are not charged for participation in the program, and input a password that you'll remember. We encourage you to save it to your device or write it down before leaving this page. Next, you'll be asked to input an access code first. For most educators, this will be NBA 2021. This will unlock the core Math Hoops program, which you can then click on and select submit. After you do so, you can review our privacy notice. This just details how we take care of your data and the data of your students, which is completely anonymized within our system, and then select continue to complete the account registration process and enter the LFCA.
Perfect. Okay, so I want to just go back just a little
The
bit.
account registration process and
So,
enter.
let me pause this. This is what your home screen is going to look like once you finish, or if you make it later. Program resources is again where that tutorials and curriculum and some tips of the day are going to be at. Events in your area, class data, checkpoints, and board game is all just student usage. And then that support tab hiding underneath my share button is where you can submit that support ticket. If you guys have a program space where you have more than 24 students or club kids at, you can submit a support ticket as well. Just let me know, like, hey, I got the 6 board games that I got as a new educator, but I have 80 students in my program that I'd like to play. No problem, I'll get you those games ordered. But you do receive the standard 6 games, 3 player card sets, which is enough for only 24 students. So 4 students at each board. Okay, if you had any trouble, again, feel free to drop that in the chat box as we move along, or later on, I can give you my contact information. That way you can come to me if you have any issues. So moving on to our season schedule. So we do have that 10 lesson curriculum, all of which are STEM and math based, but we do also offer a SEL component and a physical activity component in every other lesson. So if there's a heart next to the lesson, that means there is an SEL component involved. And if there is a running man next to the lesson, that means there is a physical activity component involved. I like to stop here and say, like, my word of the training is flexibility. So I want you guys to understand that NBA Math Hoops can be molded and adapted in whatever your classroom or program space needs. So we want you to use NBA Math Hoops in the best way possible to benefit your students or club kids. So just keep that in mind. I am going to offer different adaptations that are available and stuff like that as we move throughout the training, but I like to stop here and emphasize that because that's super important to myself and our Learn Fresh staff. So we do say each lesson does take about 30 to 45 minutes in length, and we do ask that you meet a minimum of 2 times a week with NBA Math Hoops. But again, These are two of those numbers that can be adjusted in any way. We know sometimes programs might not see kids but once a week. And then if the lesson needs to take an hour, perfectly okay. If you get through the lesson quicker, perfectly okay as well. And then we do say we are geared towards 4th through 8th grade, but as I said before, we like to say 2nd grade through high school. 2nd grade, you can just tailor some of the math down that I'll show you. And then if you have high school students, you can just up the math a little bit and make them do a little bit more statistical analysis and doing stuff with the stats. That gives them a little bit more of a challenge. Now we are going to get into all of our lessons. Remember, we have 10. This will show you how to play the game and everything you're going to need to know. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box, or you can just interrupt me, come off of mute. I do not mind at all. So I want to make sure you guys are, again, comfortable with all of this so you can implement it into your space. So moving into lesson 1, we have the sportsmanship contract. And this is where I tell you guys, congratulations, you're now a commissioner of your own NBA Math Hoops League. So, woo. And your students now get to become coaches. But before they become coaches, we do ask that they sign this contract agreeing to 3 things. So 1, positively encouraging others. 2, be the change they wish to see. And 3, celebrate as winners and learners. So we want our environment around NBA Math Hoops to be as positive and uplifting as possible as everybody's learning at once. Signing day for those contracts can look however you guys would like, but we like to throw these 2 pictures up here, just showing you a truly non-expensive way to make your students feel like they're signing that true NBA contract. So just printing some pictures out from Google, having a table, and just signing that contract. So super fun way to do it. If you don't have time for that, don't feel like you have to. We just like to share the idea. Lesson 2, we move into understanding the key statistics, which give our students a foundation to read our player cards. So just understanding what is a percent, how is it calculated, how does it go into fraction form. So here we see Jokic's player card. We have 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw. Taking the 2-point percentage, we have a 0.543. So that's about 54 over 100, meaning he's making 54 out of 100 attempts in the 2-point area. So same thing with 3-point, same thing with free throw, okay? We just want our students to understand what these stats mean. That way when we move into our next lesson, they can pick players with a draft that they can get the most NBA Math Hoops wins with. Lesson 2 also had that physical activity component involved, which you can take your students outside of the classroom or program space and onto the basketball court to apply their basketball knowledge that they've been learning the previous 2 lessons into their own game. So we do provide blank player cards, which you can have your students shoot 10 2-point shots, 10 3-point shots, and 10 free throws, and then make their graph, calculate those decimals, and then they have their own player card. They can put their photo on the front. Okay, we do have 3 opportunities to do this within the curriculum, and we do ask that you try to do them each time, just so the students can be able to compare player stats, they can set season goals, and also do their season average. Okay, so just more statistical work, but also creating a non-pressured space to just step on the basketball court and play some basketball. Some of your kids maybe want to try basketball, but are nervous and don't know much about it. This gives them that space to just be able to open up and do it without feeling pressured to make the team or anything like that. And then again, if they don't like sports, at least they're just out there moving their bodies. Lesson 3 is the draft. So why should you draft? Drafting fosters a sense of ownership and cooperation among students and also provides that opportunity for teamwork. So here in a second, I'll show you an example, but your student and their partner, you're going to have groups of 2, are going to work together and build their basketball team that they feel like can get them the most wins. And we do recommend a snake draft. So a snake draft is just where the draft order reverses every round. And 2 things to remember in our draft is that they'll draft 1 player per round, and then they must select 1 player card for each color. So here on the screen, you can see we have different colors of player cards, and that just represents the different positions on a basketball team. Okay, so you have your red card, your yellow card, your blue card, your purple card, and your green card from your point guard all the way up to your center. We want to make sure each team has 1 of each. So in our example, we have 10 students in our class. So with those 10 students, we're going to put them in 5 groups of 2 and then assign their order. So here on the screen, you can see it's by color, but I like to say group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and then group 5. So it goes from 1 to 5. In the second round, it'll just go from 5 to 1. 1 to 5, 5 to 1, and then 1 to 5. So you can see the order just reverses every round just to create that diversity in the order that they're choosing in. A couple things I like to suggest. For one, I'm very in OCD, so I like to give a tip that maybe each round you select a specific color of card. I feel like this would just make it more organized in my head, but you do not have to do that. So maybe red cards the first round, blue cards the second round, and then so on. Another thing I like to add is if you have an odd number of students in your classroom or in your program, you can create a group of 3. That's perfectly okay. Maybe a group that kind of struggles with math a little bit more. You can add that extra person, or you can have that student just roam around and be a sub and help you referee as we move throughout our training. The draft table for the draft can look one of 2 ways. So it can have photo side up or it can have stat side up. We do recommend that the stat side is up because this lets the students get into that statistical analysis and rely on the information that they learned in lesson 2 and apply it here. Instead of just looking at faces, and some of our students may not know a lot of faces. We know our LeBron James, Steph Curry, but other than that, who's a good shooter? We don't. I couldn't even, honestly, I watch NBA and I couldn't tell you past some of the superstars what their actual stats are. But if the stat side is up, they can rely on that knowledge and pick players that could help their team. Also, don't forget about those WNBA players. Sometimes their stats are just a little bit better than those NBA players. So we definitely want to make sure we have at least one WNBA player per team. And we will watch our tutorial video over the draft.
Welcome to the NBA Math Hoops tutorial video explaining the draft.
The draft is very important and can be the determining factor of how your season will go.
As co-coaches, each team will draft 5 players from the NBA or WNBA to complete their team. Each team will play with these players until lesson 9, the trade deadline, when they have to trade at least one player to finish the season.
When you receive your NBA Math Hoops materials, you'll get packs of player cards that include 64 NBA and WNBA players. To start the draft, you should lay all the player cards on a table by color and position, with the data face up, in order to encourage statistical analysis through the selection process.
There are 5 different types of player cards, and they are color-coded as within the 5 positions that are in the NBA. The guards are yellow and red, the forwards are blue and purple, and the centers are usually green, but sometimes purple.
Before they actually draft, you can assign the draft order in any creative way that you'd like. Attendance, behavior, or just a random assignment are some of the best practices that educators have used.
After you have figured out the order of the draft, you are ready to execute the draft. If you've ever played fantasy sports, you know that there is a unique way of drafting called the snake draft.
The snake draft refers to the strategy when the order of the draft reverses each round. For example, 1 through 10, then 10 through 1, and so on for 5 rounds. Each round, students will pick one player card of their choice until they have selected all 5 player cards, one of each color, to complete their team.
On the back of the player cards, you will see 3 different stats and percentages. In the top left corner, you will see the 2-point percentage, which is represented in the orange area of the circle graph. In the middle of the card, you'll see a 3-point percentage, which is represented in the black lines on the circle graph.
On the right side of the card, you will see a free throw percentage and a grid that represents the free throw percentage of that player.
It's also cool to know that all of these stats are represented in decimal format. That's how the NBA and WNBA present statistics, even though they are called percentages. Students will want to draft the players with the best statistics to help them have a great season.
Okay, before we move on, I noticed, Michelle, I did drop how to try to fix that. If you could please let me know if that worked for you. I want to make sure those accounts get created. But for you guys that haven't, once you put that NBA 2024 in the access code box, you have to click the NBA Math Hoops logo for it to be able to submit. If you need assistance, again, please just drop it in the chat box. But I definitely want to make sure those accounts get created. So lesson 4, we move into gameplay. So once you receive your games, what comes in the box? So you're going to receive a game board, 2 dice, 2 player tokens, 2 timers, 2 shot planners with markers, a scoreboard, and a spinner. Our markers write beautifully, but they do not erase great. Perfect, Michelle. Good. Okay, so if you have a better option for Expo markers, I definitely suggest using them, but ours are available. And then to start the game, does anybody in here know what the start of a basketball game is called when everybody comes to center court and the ref throws the ball up? What do we call that?
Off.
Tip off, yes. So I like to say tip off for NBA math hoops. Each team is going to take 1 die and roll them at the same time. Okay, whoever rolls that higher number gets to go first in the first half, and whoever rolled the lower number will go first in the second half. It also matters if that higher number is even or odd because it determines what side of the board they shoot on first. So if I rolled the higher number and that was an 8, I would shoot on the even side in the first half and the odd side in the second half. Okay, we do show a visual of the game board, but our game board has an even side and then an odd side where you're only working with even or odd numbers. That's why you would switch in the second half. Each game is played in 2 10-minute halves, equaling 20 minutes total. That's how we play at Learn Fresh events, but you can adjust that time frame in your program or classroom space. Showing you those player cards just a little bit closer up. So we have Miss Asia Wilson. Shout out to the champ. Okay, her 2-point percentage is represented in the orange area on the circle graph. 3-point percentage is represented in that lined or striped area. And then gray area is misses. Same thing with our free throw grid. So our orange is makes and gray is misses. Okay, a pro tip. Sometimes that spinner, which we'll learn how to use in a second, will land directly on the line. If it's on the line, the shot is good. But if it's anywhere off of it, you're going to have to say that's no good. And sometimes you will have to step in and make that call because it gets super close. Okay. So taking a shot, you're going to roll your dice and then complete your math. So here you can see we rolled a 5 and a 3, and we always want to put that higher number in the first box and lower number in the second box. We don't want any negative numbers like this. Okay, so once we do that, we're going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide those two numbers. Okay, so you can see here with division, 5 divided by 3 is about 1.67, rounded. And then we rounded it to the nearest whole number. So that's what we're going to ask you to do with division because we don't want any decimals. We want to keep everything whole numbers. This is also where you can make one of the adaptations. If you feel like your students aren't ready for decimal division off the top of their head, perfectly okay. Just draw a line through the division and omit that. Showing you our shot planner here. This is just a good photo of it. So you can do your math on this side and your opponent's math on this side. Excuse me, sorry. And fouls on this side. Okay, so down here at the bottom. Those will make sense in lessons 5 and 6. Once we complete our math, we're going to choose our shot and then spin our spinner to see if we made or missed our shot. So in this example, we're on the even side, so we cannot use the number 15. We can only use 8 or 2. So we're going to go to our board and find where 8 and 2 are. So 8 is here and 2 is here. And those are both 3-point shots, and I know this because this 3-point line right here, anything inside of it is worth 2 points, and anything outside of it is worth 3. So I know these two are 3-point shots, so I'm going to go to my purple card and my yellow card to see who has the better 3-point percentage. So Asia Wilson has about a 38% 3-point percentage, and Jalen Green has about a 34%. So who do you guys think we should shoot with, Jalen Green or Asia Wilson? You could say it out loud or drop it in the chat box, whatever works. Any takers?
Asia Wilson.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Definitely Asia Wilson is statistically the better choice. Jalen Green is not a wrong answer. He's just not statistically the best answer. You can shoot with either again, but Asia Wilson is the slightly better choice. So once we choose we're going to shoot with her, we're going to place our token on the board, put our spinner on top of our circle graph, and flick it to see if we made or missed our shot. So to physically see the shot being taken, I will show us this tutorial video.
Welcome to the NBA Math Hoops tutorial video explaining the first shot. In the previous video, Coach Nessa rolled the higher number, so she will have the ball first to take the first shot.
To start my turn, I'm gonna take both dice and roll them and see what numbers I get. I rolled a 6 and 3. So I'll write 6 and 3 in the first two boxes of my shot planner, placing the larger number first and the smaller number second. In the next four boxes, there are four operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I'll simply do the math across from left to right. 6 plus 3 is 9. 6 minus 3 is 3. 6 times 3 is 18. And 6 divided by 3 is 2.
Now that Coach Nessa has completed all the math, it's time for her to find a spot to take a shot. Coach Nessa is on the odd side since she rolled that higher 9 to start the game. She can only use the odd numbers from her shot planner that she just worked out. Her odd options are 9 and 3. The 9 on the court is blue and the 3 is red. And both shots are 2-point shots, which means Coach Nessa needs to look at her blue and red player card and choose the highest statistical player.
My blue card is a 2-pointer with Candace Parker, and my red card is a 2-pointer with Devin Booker. Now I'm going to go into the statistical analysis of these two players to decide who has the best opportunity to make this shot. Candace Parker has a 51 2-point percentage, but Devin Booker has a 54. I'm going to go with Devin Booker, who has a 54 2-point percentage.
Put the player token on the spot where you are taking the shot from and place the spinner on top of the circle graph and spin the spinner.
Made it. 2 points for Devin Booker.
Nice shot. After making the shot, put the points on the scoreboard. Now that's how you take and make a shot. Regardless if Coach Nessa would have made or missed the shot, it would be my turn next to take the shot.
Okay, so now we're going to move into what is a turnover. So a turnover is just a change of possession, and this occurs when the offense has no available shots and the ball will then just go to the opposing team. So here in our example, we're on the odd side, but we rolled a 4 and a 2, and when we did our math, we got no odd numbers. So we have no available shot. So that's a turnover. Two other ways that there can be turnovers is if we choose to shoot a 3-point shot with a player that does not have a 3-point percentage. Sometimes we see this with our centers. That's a turnover, or if the number just doesn't exist on the game board. A quick game rule is that if you roll double zeros, we do rule this a fast break, and you can choose any shot on your side of the board, place your token, and spin your spinner. So moving into lesson 5, we see steals. This is when we move into game components that are a little bit more challenging and more fun, but also hold the students a little bit more accountable for their math. So in a basketball game, a steal occurs when the defense takes the ball from the offense. In NBA math hoops, it kind of works the same, but a steal occurs when the defense catches a mathematical error made by the offense. So if the defense calls a steal incorrectly, the offense is automatically awarded points for that shot, and we'll go over an example of that here shortly. But when can you call a steal? You cannot call a steal on the defensive side until the offense has selected their shot and placed their token on the board, and then you can shout out steal. 2 game rules is that the offense must keep their shot planner fully visible at all times, because if you cannot see their math, you don't know if they're doing it right or wrong. And then also both teams must complete math each turn. Okay, so we want to make sure we're both practicing our math skills each turn, but also making sure we're calling good steals. So for example, if the offense was going to take a 3-point shot from their yellow player, so say this yellow 2 right here, and the defense calls a correct steal, the defense will get to go shoot a 3-point shot from their yellow player. So it can either be 49 or 1, as long as it's the yellow color and a 3-point shot. They'll place their token and spin their spinner to see if they made it. Works the same with 2 points. So if we're shooting from green 14, we call a correct steal on the defensive side. They can either shoot from 63, 35, or 13, as long as it's the same color and same amount of shot worth. Okay, so what if the defense calls it incorrect steal, meaning the offense's math was actually correct? Say we're shooting from yellow 2 right here, and the defense calls steal, but the offense's math is right. They automatically get 3 points for that shot, and they do not even have to spin the spinner. Okay, so we're making sure offensively they don't get a steal called against them. And then also defensively, we're making sure they don't just call a steal each turn, because there is consequences if the math is actually correct. So we'll watch our tutorial video on steals.
Welcome to the NBA Math Hoops tutorial video explaining steals. We haven't mentioned yet what the opponent does when the offense is doing the math, and now it's time.
Both teams are actually doing the math at the same time. Number one, to work on those fundamental math skills. Number two, to possibly try to get a steal on an incorrect math equation.
I'm gonna take my turn now to show what can happen. I rolled both dice and I got a 5 and 2. Coach Calvin and I are both doing the math on our shot planners at the same time.
I'm writing 5 and 2 in the roll boxes, and then I'll do the math. 5 plus 2 equals 7. 5 minus 2 equals 3. 5 times 2 equals 10. When we get to division, we can see that 5 divided by 2 doesn't give you a whole number, so I'm going to choose to round to 2. Now I'm going to choose where I'm going to shoot on the even side of the board. I'm going with the 10 spot, which is blue with LeBron James.
Steal. Coach Calvin did the division wrong. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, which actually rounds up to 3. So I had to wait until he placed his token on his desired shot option before I can call the steal. Since he's shooting a 2-point shot in the blue position, I'll now take a 2-point shot in the blue position on my side of the court. That's Candace Parker. Let's go.
That was a great steal, but what would have happened if I placed a 3 in the division box and a steal was called? Well, that would be an incorrect steal because 3 is actually correct. 2.5 rounds up to 3. Because the incorrect steal was called, I would automatically add those 2 points to my score. If I was taking a 3-point shot, I would add 3 points to my score without worrying about the spinner.
A reminder that steals can be called during any turn throughout the game. Remember to communicate and check with your co-coach before you call that steal. In order to ensure that fair application of steals happens, we ask that both teams do the math for every turn and that the offensive team keeps their shot planners fully visible at all times.
By doing the math with every turn, coaches maximize the chances of catching incorrect math and having the chance to make a steal.
Okay, so moving out of steals, we move into lesson 6 with fouls. So why call a foul? Fouls in a basketball game can be used to slow down the game and force players to step up and make free throws in clutch situations, especially those players with lower free throw percentages. So when can you call a foul? You cannot call a foul on the defensive side until, again, the offense has selected their shot and placed their token on the board, and then you can say foul. Same time as steals. So in our example, we have Zion Williamson, and his free throw percentage is decent. Okay, we want to tell our students or program kids to aim for free throw percentages in the 80s to 90 percentages. Okay, the higher the better. So his free throw percentage is just decent. So he has a chance of missing it if we need to use it. His 2-point percentage is pretty good. He has a good chance of making his 2-point shots. So maybe in this example, my game strategy was he's been on fire from 2-point. And my team is up by 2 points and it's close to the end of the game. So when he catches the ball and is going to shoot for a 2-point shot, we want to foul him. Okay, so maybe we fouled him again on that 2-point shot and you get 2 separate rolls. So in our first roll, we rolled a red 3 and a blue 6. So we're going to go to our free throw and this acts as a coordinate grid. Okay, so our x-axis is red numbers and our y-axis is blue numbers. Those just correspond with our dice. So red 3 up to blue 6, you can see he made the first free throw. But on our second roll, we rolled a red 7 and a blue 4. So red 7 up to blue 4. And he missed that free throw. So he went 1 for 2 from the free throw line and he only got 1 point. So now I'm still only up by 1 instead of it being a tie game. Okay, so you can take, again, as many free throws as your original shot choice was worth. If you're taking a 2-point attempt, you get 2 foul shots. And if you're taking a 3-point attempt, you get 3 foul shots. And you can call a maximum of 5 fouls per half, which you can keep track of where I showed you at on the bottom of that shot planner. So we will watch this tutorial video. I feel like it's important to watch steals and fouls for sure. Sometimes there's a confusion. Steals, just remember, is that mathematical error, and fouls are game strategy. Whatever reason you feel like you need to call a foul for is fine, as long as you've only called a maximum of 5 fouls.
Welcome to the NBA Math Hoops tutorial video explaining fouls and free throws.
This is another rule to the game that can increase the level of strategy. Lesson 6 in the curriculum also teaches how to use the strategy of fouls and free throws and is very helpful after showing this video. Let's talk about fouls. A great question you would want to ask your students is, why foul?
One reason could be to slow down the game. Maybe your opponent is hitting shot after shot, and you may want to slow down the groove by fouling. When looking at your opponent's stats, you would more likely foul players that are lower than 75% for their free throw percentage.
Let's say that I've worked through my normal turn and the shot I want to take is 6, and it's my green player, which is my center. My center is Rudy Gobert, and his 2-point percentage is 68%. Pretty good. But his free throw percentage is low at 62%. That would be a good reason to foul the player. So if I choose to shoot with Rudy Gobert, I have a pretty good shot of making this 2-point basket. But his free throw percentage is low. So by picking him to take the shot, I'm taking a little bit of a risk. So while Coach Nessa is figuring out what she's going to do on defense, I'll put my player token on the 6th spot.
Foul!
Now that the foul is called, I need to shoot free throws. Since I was taking a 2-point shot on the number 6 spot, I now have to take 2 free throw shots. If I were taking a 3-point shot and I was fouled, I would have to take 3 free throw shots. Let's look at the free throw grid on the back of the card. First, notice that there are 100 boxes, and every orange box represents a made shot, and every gray box represents a missed shot. At the bottom, you'll see numbers 0 through 9, and those numbers are red. On the left side, you'll see numbers 0 through 9, and those numbers are blue. Now, Coach Nessa, do you notice the dice are red and blue?
Sure do, and that allows us to use the grid as a coordinate plane when taking our free throws.
To take my free throw, I'm going to roll both dice on the court. I rolled a red 5 and a blue 2. I'll go over 5 and then up 2. Then I'll roll again. I got red 3, blue 3, and I'll do the same process. However many shots I make, I add them to the scoreboard.
Now, for one more recap for fouling and free throws. As a defender, I'm keeping a keen eye on the other team's free throw percentages, and I'm identifying the players that have a high 2-point percentage, but a low free throw percentage. The defense should look for players with a low free throw percentage and call a foul after the offensive team has placed their player token on their desired shot option. The offense should roll the dice for each free throw, using the numbers on the selected player's free throw grid to determine whether the shot was made or missed.
It's important to know that each team can only foul a maximum of 5 fouls each half.
And that's trackable at the bottom of each shot planner.
Perfect. So our last game component that we are introducing is the shot clock. And we do really urge to wait until this lesson to introduce it, just so the students can get comfortable with all of the other game components before they're put on a timer. So the shot clock prevents one team from stalling to run out the game clock, and we do use a 30-second shot clock. So the clock starts when the dice are rolled, and it is the defense's job to flip over the sand timer. Failure to complete the entire turn in time does result in a turnover, and the end of turn is the flick of the spinner. Okay, so we say this for 2 reasons. If the sand timer is about to run out, and as long as you flick the spinner before it runs out, even if it's still spinning, you can see if you made or missed a shot. And then on the flip side, if you wait until this lesson, they're going to be super quick with everything. So there might be extra time in that shot timer. This does not mean anything like they can get the rebound or shoot it again. One good flick, make or miss, it is your opponent's turn. We will skip this video on the shot clock just so we can finish up, but it is available on that LFCA account you created, along with all of the other ones we did watch if you need a refresher. Lesson 8 is halftime, so a couple things to do with the half is to erase your shot planners and then switch sides of the board. Remember that lower number at tip-off now gets to go first in the second half. And then we also want to suggest, we do play it at the tournament, but we like to suggest doing it in the classroom or program space as well, is partner switching roles at halftime. So if I'm doing the math and my partner's doing the shot selection, I want to switch at halftime so we can both at least write out the math, even though we can work together. And then the trade deadline. So the trade deadline is the final days that teams are allowed to trade players. They must trade at least one player, and they must justify their trade with you guys as the commissioner. And they have to submit it in paragraph form with some statistical reasoning. And then you can either approve or deny those. Okay, if you let your students make their own player cards, maybe you can let them insert themselves into the game. You do not have to, just something I like to suggest. And then our last lesson is tournament styles. So we have the single elimination tournament where if you lose, unfortunately, you are done. And then the round robin tournament where you get to play everybody and not necessarily worry about winning or losing in some cases. With our events, we typically do a round robin tournament like at regionals. We do a round robin tournament and then we take the top 4 and put them into a final 4 single elimination bracket. So we utilize both. I do like to suggest playing a round robin tournament as you move throughout the curriculum and create that non-pressured space of winning or losing. And then you can play that round robin tournament to seed your players into a bracket and play that single elimination tournament towards the end of your season to get a champion of your classroom or program. So now I just want to say you did it. You made it through the curriculum, but a couple more things before we hop off today. So I do like to say congratulations, or if any of you guys are returning to us, welcome back. You are a part of our Learn Fresh and NBA Math Hoops community, and we are super blessed and excited to have you guys. We do have our social media over here on the right, where you can find highlighted program events, student educator features, math content, and more. So we'd love to have you guys follow us. Next steps is just making sure those LFCA accounts are created. Remember, you have all of your resources on LFCA. And if you have any questions, you can check the FAQs on there, or you can just submit that support ticket that goes straight to myself. And then always refer a friend. The more with us and our community, the better. Our regional tournaments. So we do host in select markets, and they likely take place in March or April of 2024. And then the global championship, students must qualify for, and to qualify, they must play at least 25 games and complete 10 lessons by March 22nd. Those 25 games can be board game and or digital game. So just remember, it is your job as the educator to keep track of how many games they play. So I just like to suggest a running spreadsheet. Our season recap one more time. So you are officially in your preseason and you can have your students sign those contracts and then draft their players once your board games come in. And move straight into practice and game playing through that 10 lesson curriculum. And then you can move into finals with the regional tournament and global championships starting in March or April. Introducing you to our program staff. So Coach Rebecca is our Chief Program Officer. Coach Steven is the Manager of Program Outreach and Recruitment. He has Coach Angie, Coach Jonathan, and Coach Hunter on his team. Coach Bree is the Manager of Program Events, and then I am a part of the training and support team. So here are the QR codes for those digital games. I will be sharing the links in the follow-up email if that's easier. This is the NBA Math Hoops digital game. And then this is the skills and drills where they can practice on their own. We do have an exciting new partnership with AT&T and NBA Cares to publish 30 STEM and basketball video lessons on the Achievery. So you can visit theachievery.com to create that free account and access the content. It's just a supplement to NBA Math Hoops if you need some more STEM or basketball video lessons, all for your use for free. And then a big thanks and shout out to our partners. So because of our partnership with NBA Cares, we do have a royalty-free license with the NBA, allowing us to use their current player photos, stats, and their logo. We do have an in-kind production agreement with Hasbro, and Getty Images also provides us with their photos for use. So definitely a big thanks and shout out to them. And then if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to stay on and ask them. I am available for you guys, but I just want to thank you for participating with me today. I'm super excited to have you guys on our team, and I definitely look forward to getting the opportunity to work with you guys maybe at an event or something we do together in person. But remember, I'm always here to support you throughout your season. So thank you guys for participating with me today. I know it was a lot of info, but again, thank you guys. I'm looking forward to follow-up meeting. Yes, Lisa, that will be shared, and then she can share that with all of you guys. Thank you guys for creating a great environment. It is super fun. I can't wait for you guys to start using it. And then, yes, excited for you guys to get started as well. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to, again, hop on and ask. Yes, I definitely think the students will love it. I would have loved it in high school or middle school or elementary school.
Okay, if there are no questions,
I actually do have a question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Hi, Coach Lauren, Akila
Hi.
Stevens with Senior Dreams. A lot of great content that you provided today. I really enjoyed the discussion and and the overview. I guess my question is, do you guys offer collaboration opportunities with other nonprofit organizations, activation wise? Like, do you have programs or opportunities where you collaborate with other nonprofit organizations?
So, I'm like Learn Fresh itself, or like playing NBA Math Hoops with another organization.
The latter part.
Okay, so we do offer that, but that is more with our outreach team. So if you are wanting to do that, I definitely can pass you off to them, and we can work together with another nonprofit if that's what we're wanting.
Sure. Was one of their names in the slides that you provided?
Yes, but if you want to just drop your email in the chat box, if you don't mind, and then I will piece together an email and introduce you to everybody.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Get her email, and then we are good to go.
We had a question about what is the lead time to receive kits?
Oh, I'm sorry. I see that right here. I don't know what I was thinking. So we do say within 2 to 3 weeks is when you receive them. I will say that it does come in a little bit quicker. The only issue right now is that Fulfillment Center for the board games is going through their audit, and they're done at the beginning of next week. So I would probably say they would go out right at the beginning of next week, and probably a week or two at most.
Hello, how's it going? I'm here from Arts for Learning,
Yeah.
Maryland. My name is Nair. I also was interested in the partnering opportunities or just learning more about what that might look like.
Okay, partnering with other nonprofits.
Yes, we are a nonprofit in
Okay, yeah.
Baltimore area. So I'll leave my email address here as well.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
all.
Yes.
Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
You're welcome. Yes, Michelle, I am including you in that email as well. I've already got you copied. And then I'll wait for this last email, and then we are good to hop off. Thank you for hosting this today.
yeah, thank you for coming.
Of course. Okay, here it is. Okay, I've got those 3 emails, and I think I am good to go. So if you guys need anything, again, just reach out to me, and I am happy to help.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
These notes and we'll get these notes and the recording at our email that we signed up.
Yes, so I shared the follow-up information. I know the recording was going on, but we don't necessarily I know she was recording for you guys, but as far as sharing the presentation with everybody, we don't typically do that just because of the royalty-free license with the NBA. We can't necessarily share all of that they partner with us with. But on that LFCA account, you do have access to all the videos and curriculum that we shared today. And then the follow-up email will have all of the links and instructions and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, and I apologize, I missed the beginning. So is this program free for those
Yes.
of us that signed up or
Yes.
no? I'm sorry.
Yes. So did you get the chance to create your
Okay.
CA account?
I did.
Okay, so did you put the NBA 2024 in the box?
I did.
Okay, then it is all free and good
Yes.
to go.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okie dokie. We can end the training now, and then again, if they need anything in the future, maybe something pops up, just you can always send them to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.